Yanny everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of August 2nd, 2020. On the cover, we've got My Hero Academia. I mean, it's never... It's extremely difficult to do a single character cover that I really, really like. Because especially Jump tends to want to do, like, the main character a lot of the time. Or, like, it's either the main character or a very, like, arc-specific character. Although, usually if it's an arc thing, it's usually multiple characters. And I do not care for, like, just Goku on the cover, Luffy on the cover, or like Deku on the cover. I mean, I guess last week was just quote unquote just Luffy on the cover, but that was really cool because we also had all of the art in the background. Whereas this is clearly supposed to be focus on Deku, and the rest of it's just kind of effects. And it doesn't really scratch an itch at all. I mean, it's pretty dope. I can see people looking and going, yeah, I like this, but especially because I think it might actually land a lot better if you don't read My Hero very often. Like, if you're a very casual reader. Because, like, I've seen Deku do cooler things in black and white. Anyways, that is the cover. I do want to say, at the very end, if you usually just kind of tune out near the end because you know how my order goes, I will be doing Kaiju number 8, chapter 1 at the very, very, very end of the live stream. That'll also help me determine, like, do I continue on with the series? Well, we'll see. Anyways, jumping the gun a little bit, let's back all the way up to the very start with Act Oz, chapter 122. Greeting. So, color page, but it's a color page of Ren, and I mean, I just went over color pages, like single character color pages especially, and I mean, like, I do like it. I like that we have a color image for her. Did we not have one already? I guess not. But yeah, like, I'm not a big fan of single character pages, especially ones that are just like, hey, here's the character design, here's a person. What could greeting mean, though? Like, who would they be greeting here? Or is it the, is this going to be the end of them doing this project in Kamakura and then going somewhere else to greet someone? I guess it could also be, like, they leave and they go back to the studio or something, and they all greet someone in, very period ways. Like, they all do it simultaneously, and they all do it in a very, like, old-timey way, and the person gets blown away because they're like, oh, wow, oh my gosh, they really got into the role. I've been thinking a lot about, the idea that Satsuki has to always act. I was reading an article recently about autistic people, and specifically how it's much harder to diagnose an average Western autistic woman than it is to diagnose an autistic man. Because autistic men tend to present much more clearly, whereas because of the way that society molds women in general, like, it's not that autistic women are better off, it's that, like, they're just trained through, the rigors of how all women are trained to suppress the things that would be a very obvious, like, oh, you're autistic sort of tell. Which is also, like, it is actually extremely exhausting. It is this feeling of, like, oh, they've always got to present as, quiet and, calm and empathetic, even if they don't have that much empathy there. And they gotta, like, be somewhat, like, neutrally social, even if that neutral social energy just kills them inside. And I can see a parallel to that with Satsuki, like, with the idea that, as a kid actor, she's always had to try and be super duper cute to the point where even when she's not acting, when she's not trying, she still is super adorable, like way more than a child should naturally be, because she is always acting just a little bit. And Ren is, like, slowly absorbing Satsuki's character. So now we have the chain of, like, it can't, like, Satsuki can't take over the entire series. Like, she can't supplant herself as being like, yeah, I'm the original, everyone else is just an extension of my original performance. Ren is taking that original performance and trying to integrate it into everything else. I mean, I guess that is essentially the same thing. It just comes down to, like, who do you focus on in that? Do you go, oh wow, Ren is an extremely good actress because it feels like she is that kid from episode 1? Or is it Satsuki's an incredible actress because no matter what I see, even if she's not on screen, I'm just thinking about her performance, not the performance of the actress actually playing, the character in the rest of the series? Is there a fourth actress? I mean, that might just be an art thing to show, like, the progression to make it look better, but I mean, we're focusing so hard on the actresses. Actually, never mind, because that is clearly Yanagi. So it is supposed to be just a clear progression between the two. Not like all three of them, which is what I thought they were doing. It's been a while since we've brought up the, the idea of devouring someone to obtain their acting ability. I mean, she's got to be either lying or she is, using Satsuki in a way where she doesn't even consider it. Like, it is, it's as easy as breathing for her. I really do like her characterization as both, being a little conniving, like, you can't trust her, but at the same time, she does not feel like she is, like she's not throwing stuff out because she's scared or she's worried. She does have this air of just, there is nothing that rattles Ren Tamaki. Okay. Yeah, Satsuki's still scared. Okay. Oh, paying their respects to, to her, to the actress they're trying to emulate. Oh, they must have planned that out, right? I don't remember if they said that before in the manga, but I mean, there's no way that was a coincidence. See, this is one of those things where I wish that Yanagi had, mentioned this beforehand, but at the same time, I do get that, like, I understand how it is from a writing perspective. Like, regardless of whether this was planned out or not, if it was planned out, there's still the danger of, oh, they said this name's gonna come up. It's an interesting way of putting it as well. Dazzling, but also somehow calming. I think that is a good recipe for an actress that everyone likes, though. Like, not so scary or exciting that, she becomes polarizing. She is just entrancing. Oh, they're gonna pull off her plan. Oh boy, okay. I mean, here's the question though. Is this the boss battle? Or are they just glancing, is this going to be just glancing blow? I assume glancing blow. I don't think Satsuki will be able to properly prove herself until they film episode 1. I think that has to be the moment where she wins over Minami's respects. Yeah, why would she approve this if this is the way she's going to act? If she is going to say, like, oh, it's a shame that this is happening. And she didn't say anything. So yeah, no resolution, but we're just building up the tension. And this does lay the groundwork for the question of why would she allow this to happen? Does she, like, is she hoping, hoping against hope that someone can play her mom? There is something to the idea of being written into history. That, no one knows the truth. And even then, like, even if you are a descendant of a person, like a close descendant, you still don't know everything. You still can't capture the absolute truth. But you still have, like, you still have some form of the truth. And if you don't express it, if you don't put it down, like, in a form that can be passed down, like a taiga drama or a movie or whatever, like, if it is... Oh, this is something I've been struggling with for a while. Because, like, you can put things into textbooks, or you can put them into, like, long, authoritative history books. But if people don't consume those, the information is almost as good as being lost. Like, it can be dug up, but if no one knows something, even if it is recorded, is that information still alive? It's possible to obtain it, which is it is a lot better for something to be attainable in some way than for it to be completely lost to history. But there is a big gulf between lost to history to potentially unattainable, and then there's a big gulf between attainable to known. Imagine, especially as an actress, she would want to still be known. And, like, she is. Like, she still is Japan's greatest actress. But still, like, there's a difference between being known for your films versus being known for you. I really appreciate how this is, this is the big Yanagi, not breaking out, but, like, getting her name known in a big, long TV thing. And how we are pairing that with the idea of, like, the fact that it is big, but it's also an extremely personal story. It is a fight between, her and Ren. They're fighting over Kuriyama, but also they are fighting to make sure that Japan's greatest actress is appropriately played in the series. Like, it's so poetic. It's so good. It is a very Actage chapter. Next, we've got Black Clover, chapter 259. I really do not like this transformation. It's so bad. Like, it doesn't feel like it is power itself. And I think a part of it is, like, the fact that I looked at it and did not immediately go, like, oh, I understand what the power-up is. But I think it's also that it doesn't really, it's not, it doesn't follow the same rules that I've been expositing about this whole time, about how much I love the devil design of, you know, pure black for some things and then super hyper detailed for others. If the arm was super duper detailed, but, mostly black, like with a lot of white detailing, I think that would look really cool. I think that would give off the feeling of it is power itself. But the fact that it's gray and that it looks like, gray scarring even, it doesn't feel that strong. But okay, let's see what the attacks actually look like, though. Page 259, Raging Bull Unison. That sounds like a combo move. But okay, so he's got 4 arms, potentially also the legs. Also, like, you could make black holes or something. But if the black bulls can occupy everything else, then also I really do want Ass to just punch it right through the center here. Like, both echoing Yami's big sword thrusts, but also, like, just paying off the setup of it looks like a bullseye. We've already paid it off once with Yami, but I'd like to fully pay it off. Okay, we're down to 8 seconds. Yeah, it better be a really, really cool finisher, because this has been very underwhelming. Okay, so he's using each of the swords in succession. 3 seconds. Oh, he's using Yami's sword. It's gonna be a slash rather than a thrust, though. Oh, okay, that's what that is. The little thing here is the eye. Yeah, okay, it wasn't as cool as I wanted it to be. But it's alright. It's alright. It felt way too rushed, I think. Which I get how, it's the danger of a countdown. If you have too many panels in a countdown, it feels like, oh, this, he only has 8 seconds, but it's taken forever. Whereas if you do restrict the number of panels like this, then you have the problem of the fight didn't really feel that good. Also, I do think part of it is just that he used his swords just to mostly just slice. Like, it was just repeated slices, right? Whereas if he had used, like, if he had bounced with the Demon Dweller, if he had, I guess that wouldn't have really worked that well, though, because all these attacks are so very physical. Also, I'm curious to see if was this just a, once in a lifetime he gets to use Yami's sword situation? Or if he uses it again and again, will it eventually have a special power? Like, the Demon Dweller and the Demon Destroyer are magic swords in their own right that have their own abilities, and then it's just Asta pumping anti-magic into them that makes them, his swords. Anyways, that's Black Clover. It's alright. I can't say it's better than Actage, though. Next up, we got Bone Collection Chapter 13. So I guess it is an invasion arc. It is here's the setup, here's the map. Okay, now we gotta get to this point. It did seem like he could also just tear the fox out of Runa, though. So, like, as long as his underlings buy enough time, he should be able to just pop it out of her, right? I mean, I guess the twist could be, the little bit of fox inside of her wants to stay there and they've become friends. Yeah, extracting the tail takes time, so we are on a time limit. Sure. Oh, okay, I assume she's about to be taken out by one of the bosses. It's surprising that it's an A rank. I mean, she's an Exorcist King. I mean, I guess, to be fair, the ranking doesn't matter that much compared to this ability. This is a really good ability. I don't know how you'd be able to beat her like this. Okay, A-rank yokai fall into 2 categories. One group simply has heightened killing abilities. These are lower A-rank. Upper A-rank can also kill, but they possess unique superior abilities. Okay. I actually do really like that. Since on the heroic side, we have a triple S rank yokai, having it be a sheer, this power, this level of strength beats this level of strength would defeat the purpose. It's not that interesting. But differentiating it as, some of them are just real strong, some of them have really good powers, and of course QB would want the ones with good powers here. How's she gonna fight, though? This is a yokai with presumably, puppet abilities. But also, her main thing is just using the yokai spell to get power. Hey, alright. Huh, because she can use the yokai spell, I wonder if she can suck some energy out of Pyra. Like, not, like, not enough to supplant the main character, obviously, but, like, can you do that? Can multiple exorcists yokai spell one yokai? Okay. So we've already cut the mini boss squad in half. Oh, I'm really glad though. Like that does make it feel like this is not going to be a super long, drawn-out arc. Like it is we set it up like a long arc, but it's actually going to be much more expedient. Okay. Huh. I mean, we didn't really establish that she couldn't fight because she's half human, but okay. That's an interesting way to do it. It actually reminds me a lot of like there's a system in the Monogatari series where you also have a male and female combo, and like basically there's a girl who can power up the main character, but by doing that she also gets stronger. Like it is a transfer of strength, but it is also like releasing her limits simultaneously. So this is a like Pyra can't use her energy normally when she's, becoming more and more human because it's being drained out of her. So it has to go through Cosme and then back into her. But that also explains the markings. I didn't really think about it, but okay. So they're both kind of using the yokai spell then. Okay, that's a good gag. Also, like, these are clearly supposed to be very fan service kicks. I'm not going to say I don't obviously notice that, but at the same time, like, they're not panty shoddy kicks. They are like threading the edge of, it's mostly just thigh surface and like leg surface. It's honestly so satisfying. Like most of what I thought this arc was going to be was done in one chapter, and it was the chapter that established, like, here's how this is going to take a long time. I mean, it's a dangerous thing to do because, like, a series like Bone Collection, especially because Bone Collection is so comedic, it works. But if the series were to eventually do a long, we're at the enemy base, we have to do a bunch of different, we have to fight a bunch of mini bosses thing for real, it would really suck because then we'd be thinking about this arc and we'd be going, why do we need this long arc? Why not just do what we did in chapter 13? God, such a satisfying chapter. I mean, yeah, it's definitely at the top of what I've read thus far. All right, those are the pre-recordeds. See ya for the live stream. All right, well, got people in chat, so I think we should just start. Actually, do I want to do Ghost Reaper Girl? You know what? Let's stick Ghost Reaper Girl onto the top, and then I'll see how I feel about it. I know if I do it like in some other parts, it's gonna the switch over from right to left to right in the middle of everything is gonna really mess me up. But if I do it right at the starts, it might be okay. It might be okay. So let us do the secret Slippy in 2. Zaku. I want the ends to be Kaiju number 8. Alright, so let's take that maybe bitter pill. We got Ghost Reaper Girl Chapter 2. Ghost Reaper Girl Chapter 2. The whole point of me saying it out loud is that I don't have to type it out, and also you don't have to hear it twice. But I do always say it twice. I mean, cat puns definitely imply feline demon, I suppose. But we got the knife ears, which is very much I mean, usually elf, but I'd say, if we're talking animals, usually bats. So, interesting choice. I mean, there are cats with real pointy ears, but not what I'd usually think of when I think of cat demon. Ooh, I honestly really like the colors in the series. Like, Chapter 1 did the same thing where it's very clearly, like, physically painted. Or, I mean, if it's not actually physical, it might be, like, a digital brush effect. But it looks really, really physical in a way where even, digital painting doesn't really tend to look like this. Like, specifically, look at the background here. And then, like, even the building isn't super brushy, but it is very blotchy. Yeah, Zaku, I would describe Chapter 1 as you got this girl whose name I don't know. She is she grew up in the slums, real bad, used to beat people up with a bat in order to just survive. But she always wanted to be an actress, or rather, not an actress. She always used to look up at this billboard of just famous celebrity, and so she's always wanted to be someone who would be famous. She also did a super late night series a la Garo called Ghost Reaper Girl. So, mysterious man shows up, protects her from evil spirits. Turns out she's got too much good energy in her, so evil spirits will always attack her. But it also allows her to transform into actual Ghost Reaper Girl. And also, he turns into this giant scythe that looks kind of like... It's got the big googly eyes. It reminds me a lot of Cosmo from Fairly Odd Parents. Yeah, it is. It is very much a... This is kind of everything. In the same way that, Ayakashi Triangle, the first chapter, I reread it, I do agree, it does really feel like a new generic Jump series every time you turn the page. And I'd say this is also very similar in that regard, but it's not it's not as inconsistent, but it was definitely a, boy, this is real weird. Oh, hey.
I immediately come in and I just see these backgrounds and just, ooh.
It's got the fuzziness of like, oh, this is badly cleaned, but this is straight from Japan. This is as good as it'll ever look.
Yeah, I mean, it's got that classic thing now where it's just, the character does not look like they should be in that panel, like the bottom right one.
Yeah.
They look photoshopped in there, which they are.
But the thing I like about digital backgrounds is that, I mean, it depends, but with a lot of digital backgrounds is that they are very, like, clean and very, like,
Yeah. The problem with this, I think, is simply the angle.
Okay.
I think the angle is just bad. His feet don't look like they're naturally standing there at all.
Mm.
Like, the shoulder up shot, I think is fine. Trying to put his feet on the ground was the mistake.
Yeah. I'd agree. Okay. So, I guess... Oh, right, her name was Chloe Love. How could I forget that? Oh, what is this character design gonna look like? Not really into it. Now, what is this? Like, is this a part of him, or is this some sort of, like, familiar spirits?
This manga looks like I would see clips of it on TikTok with a very heavy Instagram filter over it, where it keeps zooming in and out of the panels with a really edgy chipmunk pop song behind.
Ah, yeah, I know I know that aesthetic. I would agree. I don't know if it's because this is just, set in normal Japan, but there's so much less character than early Rosario Vampire. Like, it feels so weird. This feels like it came out before Rosario. Oh yeah, also Zaku. She looks very youthful, but she is 28. Ah, so we're doing this. We're doing well, we already did it in chapter 1, but we're not... I don't want to. I'm actually very curious to see how this pans out, because, like, she does want to be famous. And I do, like... I'm so sick of I mean, it's not that it's inherently bad, but I've gotten tired of I have the special magic powers, I fight ghosts and zombies and stuff, but no one can ever know about it. And I do think the inherent premise of her really wanting to be known, for her to be someone that everyone knows, like, that stands in such direct contrast to the idea of the masquerade. I would really like it if she decides, I'm just gonna tell the world that ghosts are real, and I'm gonna be Ghost Reaper Girl, and I'm gonna fight them in public.
Gonna be the Iron Man of manga?
I would like it. I honestly would. I can't even appreciate the clearly, oh man, I'm so sexy. I mean, he does look just like Tsukune from, or not, early Tsukune, but, later on Tsukune from Rosario, who I did think was very hot. I don't know, maybe it's because he's so forward that it doesn't really have the same appeal to me. God, I hope this cat demon looks cooler. Oh, I forgot about the font for the question mark, exclamation mark. A parody of a hot person is not a bad way to put it. Ah, Zaku, yes. You weren't there for the first chapter, but this did give me very big Yugen's all ghouls classroom vibes. I do like this dynamic slightly more because it's not, it's not literally Erina and Soma from Shokugeki no Soma. But like, especially the I'm super hot looking, but the joke is I'm real perverted, and girls will do what I say because I'm real hot. Like, it's not that interesting to me. I honestly do prefer the meta energy of just I'm a weird little dwarf, and also I'm real horny. Oh, I just realized in Japanese this is definitely nyahaha, right? Right? Because in English, meow haha is not a pun.
Meow, ha, ha.
It's so bad. Now, I know Viz will, use Japanese words every once in a while if it's, if it's just the sound. Like, Viz would be okay to do the nyahaha usually. So I'm assuming this is passed down from the mangaka, from Akihisa himself, saying the English audiences will not be able to understand this. Please translate this as meow haha.
You do have to remember that there is different translators for each of the series, and Viz doesn't have a consistency within the company.
True, there is no style guide.
Yeah. Many other companies have that. Viz is not. Same
True.
with Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll also doesn't have a style guide.
Actually, who is doing this? Stefan Koze. Not super familiar. I'm familiar with Annalise, and like the lettering is fine, but yeah. Okay, those were just generic spirits. Oh, that's supposed to be like a cat bell, but it's in the middle of his two ties. I see. Ah, soul predator. I mean, I said two ties, but I guess this could just be one tie, but it's, crossed there. Also, Zaku, I actually have, I wasn't really interested in doing it on the channel, and I'm still not, but I have read a fair bit of Moriking. And I do, I do really enjoy the casualness of this character is just a dude, but he is also just a pet. I think it is presented very well. Like, not enough to make me laugh out loud most of the time, but it is a good, like, background energy to the series. But yeah, these cat puns are bad. I mean, I can excuse garbage cat puns if the character design is really good, but also his character design is not super interesting. Like, even cat thing aside, if he was just a generic demon, he looks like a real generic demon. I'm also very concerned about, like, part of the appeal of the series is clearly going to be she is Ghost Reaper Girl. We get to see her in action. But I really dislike the concept of the first two chapters being mostly him fighting because she doesn't want to fight, which I get it, but you have to go one way. I feel like it is important to go one way or the other. Like, you can, but it's extremely frustrating for her to transform and do battle in chapter 1 and then do the but I don't actually want to, but you did get to see how cool it is. Honestly, I really wish she had more ego. Like, her hunger to be seen is such, like, I keep on bringing it up because that is the character trait that I find the most interesting and, like, defining for her. But then, like, the trait she exhibits the most is a clear, like, I don't really want to get involved. I don't really want this to get big. Yeah, I could see those two being flipped. I mean, the pages entirely are flipped, so I wonder how that works, actually. This fight is so boring! Okay, what stopped him? Why? Did he reach some sort of time limit or something? Oh, right! I forgot about the special skills! I thought when he said Soul Predator, that was sort of a, like, he is a, this group, as opposed to the special skill. Ah, I see he gets the debuff of starvation. Also, the phrasing of they become an evil spirit, like, I guess that is supposed to be a completely different classification. Like, that is a, they go berserk. But he is clearly not a good person. Like, it does bother me in series when evil is used to refer to just, like, this state of being. Like, you can do really awful things, but you're not an evil spirit. You can just be a spirit who does bad things. But then being an evil spirit is separate from that. Oh, are they gonna try and redeem him? I guess that would explain why the fight was so bad. If it is supposed to be you're not supposed to really dislike him. That said, I'm like, if this is going to be a multi-harem series, I don't really want this guy to be number 2 in the harem. He's so blah. Hmm. Interesting strategy. Okay, that design looks a lot better. Not sure where the snake parts are coming from. Oh, that's some real vagina dentata energy down there. I mean, I guess it's both because it is, big mouth, but also super long, like phallic-ish tongue, sort of dolphin phallic. He's in a state called evil spirit descent. I feel like that's gotta be evil spirit descent in English, right? Like even in the Japanese version. I can feel the terminology brackets. We're seeing tiny little glimpses of not, I wouldn't say cockiness, but like playfulness in Chloe's the dialogue, which I do really like, but that's the only part of her personality I like. And it is this weird, she has a strange disconnect between, her personality, which is the, gruff orphan on the streets who, has a little edge to her, who likes horror movies, and then how she usually acts, where she is very wimpy and standoffish. I haven't read a lot of manga that have transformation sequences in them, like full on transformation sequences. I think a big strength of manga is that you can grow and shrink them as you need. Like, in Bleach, Ichigo can take, like, 2 pages to transform if you really want it to be cool, or alternatively, he can just kind of do it off screen. And I guess, like, we are trying to really ramp up the, yeah, she has a transformation sequence. She's got some magical girl energy to her, which is why we're seeing it this often. But I really hope it's not going to be a full thing of every single chapter we get a full page. Thank you for the exposition in chapter 2, as always. And in my chapter 1 reaction, I did say I am excited to see Chloe transform with other people potentially. But I don't know how. I don't know if I have faith that the mangaka is gonna make these designs cool. Like even this design, which is this is the design that sells the series. This is Ghost Reaper Girl. It's not bad, but it's also not great. Yeah, I would like Catgirl Chloe. At this point, I mean, spoilers, I'm probably gonna drop it, but I might take a peek at chapter 3 if we get Catgirl form. Hate it. I mean, the series really does have a lot of. They want to have their cake and eat it. They want Chloe to have the lolly energy, but also be a full adult. I think part of the reason why the gag doesn't work is because she does just look like she is a teenager. Also, it does sadden me that this is, I assume, a berserk form that we'll never see again, because it does look good. Like, I can't think of a design in chapter 1 that I really liked, but this is, like, even cat stuff aside, like cat bias aside, it has a very, like, fluid energy to it that I really like. The shading's good, it is scary, it's got the multiple mouths. I really like the mouth on the chest. It's a good aesthetic. It is the classic, you see a boss character in a RPG and they're super cool, and then eventually you get to play as them, but they're not nearly as good because they have like one ability that looks like their boss ability and it's bad. Ah, they're the same. They're both on the streets dying because they were poor. It is interesting that that skill is a direct result of, his death wish, or not his death wish, but like, his soul in death, like, or at the moment of death. That would imply that Chloe's special ability, which is to, not harm humans, is something that is like a core part of her. But we haven't really seen that either. Like, as much as I like her selfishness, at the same time, that I would assume that she would then have an ability that is very self-centered, that is a, like, super healing factor or something, as opposed to an ability that is mostly used for sparing the lives of others. Okay. Ah. So before we saw it as she can cut spirits without cutting humans, but did she just cut the curse here? Ah. I'm not sure if this was a very fair twist, but okay, so Soul Predator is not a skill, it's a spirit that was possessing it? Or did she actually cut the skill itself? It is a neat twist. it's just I was not expecting it, which comes as a surprise because everything has been very expected. But yeah, that's actually pretty neat. Again, I wonder then, like, are we saying that it was, completely misclassified as a skill? Or is it that skills are, something inhabiting your body? In which case, could Chloe's ability to, cut certain things without hurting others, like, could that be something else separate inside of her? Oh, also, did we see his arm? Okay, yeah. So, even eating the arm did not last as an injury. Actually, damage, that is a good point. Like, it's possible that the spirit had the skill Soul Predator, and then it was possessing him. Ah, okay, so yes, we are doing it. He is going to be her familiar. Ah, yeah. I think I dropped it last week, but I'm gonna drop it again this week. Ghost Reaper Girl is not good. Oh, it wasn't even on here. I have to actually type it out like a pleb. Chapter 2, and then it goes below Black Clover. And then I'm gonna type dropped next to it. Especially because, like, if Kaiju number 8 is good, I want to catch up, so I'd rather use that slot for that. Also, We Never Learn is going into the 2 arcs I really wanted to do, so that's probably coming back in the pre-recordeds. There's a lot of stuff I'd rather do than Ghost Reaper Girl. Let me just paste this in voice chat so you guys can see what's going on right now. What a strange series. Like, I don't really have anything to say about it. It's so... eh? How did this immediately make the jump to Viz's Shonen Jump page? Like, Kaiju number 8 even, like, I assume it's good because it got on here, but it took like 5 chapters before, on Manga Plus, I assume. I'm pretty sure it was on Manga Plus first, before they, like, someone said, hey, we gotta get this on Viz. How in the world did this get on here? I guess it must have just been, Akisa's clout from Rosario. Anyways, next we've got... Me and Roboco, Chapter 4. Aw, yeah. I assume that if I type out Roboco a couple times, it'll figure it out. But maybe not. Like, Roboco is not a word. It's a very different series. I mean, honestly, I think you could have the same gags occur if it was me and Roberto. If the joke was, I have an order made, but it's a guy and his name is Roberto. Was Roberto the name of, the guy from Monster? The the one I'm talking about. Oh boy, who is this man? Oh boy. We're really starting this off with a very specific aesthetic. I assume this has gotta be Roboco shows up and just ruins everything, right? Like, they're so in the middle of nowhere, and this is so completely different as a start from every other chapter thus far. Ah, he hates order maids, I see. That's a good point. Why are they wearing their normal outfits if they're all the way in the middle of the wilderness where there is no civilization? How did this happen? Okay, Roboco took them there. Oh, jeez. Oh, okay. They've definitely killed the bear already, right? Oh god, these are the worst panties yet. Is this the first actual print we've seen on one of these? Like, a print that is not just words? Because if so, what a one to do as your very first one. Also, we really launched into this one. Oh no! Oh boy, what is that? Hakuna Matata, why? I've got him distracted with tendies for now. The tendies are probably my favorite gag in the whole series right now. Also, I can't carry this many people in Robocopter mode, so she means one more person. I mean, I guess to be fair, it's really stretching the laws of physics for her to have 3 children on her, so I guess 3 children and 1 man is more than enough. Oh no, they're actually gonna do it! I do appreciate how emotionally direct Gachi Girl is. Such a strong character trait. Oh no! If I do, I will no longer be myself. Hmm. Oh boy, I'm actually very excited to see Roboco without makeup. This was, I mean, in chapter 1, we did see her with her arm off and, firing the cannon. So it's actually pretty surprising that it took us until chapter 4 to see it. Also that, she's using it against a bear. Oh boy, did she just kill the bear? What? What? I don't know. What is the Roboco cannon? What was that? I, I'm gonna say, I do like this better as, like, when we first saw this guy, I assumed the gag of the chapter would be, Roboco tries to, light a fire, but she screws it up. And she tries to put up a tent, and she screws it up. And he's like, oh, order maids are so garbage. But then in the end, he realizes that they're actually okay. I somehow like it more that it was just, order maids are good because they can fight a bear. Oh, he was 20! What happened to him? What life has he led? Also, what is Gotchi Gorilla? I mean, I guess him, falling off of Roboco over the Japan Sea was foreshadowing for the fact that you can just kind of throw him at maximum force across a mountain, he'll be fine. Also, she did fire the Roboco cannon through the mountain, which is where she threw him. Still on the Roboco train, but I like it because of how next level it is. It is a comedy that I do not understand. It is so not a Japanese gag series, while still being, I mean, it is a Japanese gag series, but it is a level beyond what I expect. Yeah, I guess it's really just the beard and, the balding, which we didn't even see until the very end, that really gives off the, he looks like he's 40 vibe. The fact that it's multiple gags that aren't all based around the same thing is also very nice. Like, it does occasionally, it risks going into just random humor, but I do appreciate that, while it is, risking that danger of just being ha 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 lol so random, it also adds variety. It makes it a lot less boring than it might otherwise be. So, still not as good as the Black Clover chapter. So, yeah, right there, right there. Next we've got Time Paradox Ghostwriter, Chapter 11, Victory and Defeat. Ooh, thank you very much, by the way, Damage. Let's look at this on Discord and then on Chrome. So that way people can actually see it. That's a cool title. Like, yeah, we got the jumps coming out of the microwave. We got the two principal main characters, and we do have the misdirect of, her being in the same, like in his apartment, which might make the average viewer go like, okay, so she, she learns about it very quickly, or something like that. Yeah, I think it's a good chapter, or a good first cover. Well, now, I feel like every chapter makes me wonder simultaneously, like, is this series ending soon? And also, what is the series? So let's see if this chapter manages to do the same thing. But yeah, it is a perfect first chapter title, or first cover. Really curious to see what Volume 2 is going to be. I mean, it depends on how many chapters are in it. Like, if Volume 1 has up to, like, maybe Chapter 9 or something, then something we're going to see soon might be the cover of Volume 2. Like, uh, like all we have up to this point is kind of just Itsuki Aino, working super hard and dying of exhaustion, which doesn't seem like a great second volume cover, but maybe. Okay. I won't lose, I'll never give in. Oh, Zaku, which hair color did you misjudge? Because, to be fair, I guess I haven't really thought of what Aino's hair was going to look like, but the blue makes a lot of sense. It feels very right. Like, I think it's because of her schoolgirl outfit. Like, I assumed that her hair is going to be something that blended in very much. Like, it can't be black, obviously. But I figured it was going to be something sort of muted. Like, not super interesting. Like, if it wasn't blue, maybe like a... Not red, but like... Uh, hmm... Maybe like a brownish red or something? Ooh... These designs for anime look really cool. I mean, this guy, obviously, Dinosaur Head Man is definitely the most standout design. He looks like some sort of, like, knight or something. And the survey results were... So, here's the question. Up until this point, I've assumed last chapter was, like, a glimpse forward. Like, it was a, this is what will happen if, like, this is what will happen if Anima continues to be, completely unbeaten. But that could have been the main timeline. Like, it could be that we're just taking a step backwards here. So what if I lost for a single chapter? Ah, I'm so curious to see what he's writing. Like, I know narratively, it doesn't really matter. And in fact, it would actually hurt us more if we saw what the ideas were, because then those ideas would have to really thread the needle between being very good but not the best. Okay, so that at least is the same as, what we saw before. She is drawing everything by herself at the moment. She doesn't have assistants, she's just doing it herself. And she's not talking with her editor. And yeah, that shot's, yeah, it looks like she's on the path to dying. I mean, I am glad that she still has a sense of humor about it. But at the same time, like, I assume she's just putting it on. Ever since we saw, like, ever since she explained in, like, chapter 2 that she doesn't have really, she doesn't have a lot to her, that the reason she wants to make something that everyone can enjoy is because, there's not, like, the fact that she can remove all of herself from her manga makes it feel like, yeah, in any other situation, she should also be able to remove all of herself from it. Like, I don't think this is the real Aino, or, as quote unquote real. I think this is her removing, her actual sadness from the equation in order to present, in order to genuinely have an enjoyable time, but to also make sure that she's not, she is not presenting any weakness, that it's not going to be clear how bad she is, the shape she's in right now. It's a real tricky thing to do to a. I guess it works because she is simultaneously the second main character and the antagonist of the series. Like, she is the secondary main character. We want her to live, and she is the antagonist because she is going to kill the secondary main character. Huh. That is a good point. Yeah, how. Like, she does seem like the kind of person who would work harder if you beat her. Whoops. I mean, I caught it this time, but I was recording something else a little while ago, and I used the wrong preset for OBS. So. But okay, it's fixed now. Don't worry, only Ghost Reaper Girl and me and Roboco don't have comments on them. Which does suck, though. Like, I do think the Ghost Reaper Girl chapter is mostly good because of everyone's comments. I do appreciate it. Like, it is the most selfless thing you can do. But there are two sides to selflessness. Part of it is, this wanting, this desire to make everyone else happy. But at the same time, it can come from a lack of desire to see yourself be happy. And I do think that's kind of where Aino's coming from. Yeah, so this has to be the phone call of, hey, she just passed out. Not necessarily that she's dead, but at the very least, like, bad thing has come to pass. Okay, did she actually die? I assume that's gotta be it. Like, especially because he's sobbing over it. Like, I mean, maybe it's supposed to be she's on the brink of death. But no, I am going to assume the call was, she just died. Yeah, good point, homie. Like, that is one thing I really enjoy about, like, mid-2000s Japanese manga especially, is, like, the extreme prevalence of flip phones, even when there are, like, other, big pieces of technology around, just because flip phones were so popular. And, like, they still are to some extent. This does give this whole thing a very, like, Bakuman era energy. Like, not in terms of the manga, but in terms of, like, when the manga came out. So yeah, where do we go from here if she's dead? I guess we go to another world. Alright! Huh. I mean, I guess he's going to the future. Honestly, I don't know. I've heard that the ratings for the series aren't super good. But, man, this does keep up, as I said before, the energy of I don't know when the series is gonna end. Is this a short one? Is this such an obscenely long series that I just cannot possibly see where it's going? I'm I'd say I'm personally pretty interested in it, but I can understand why someone else might not be. Like especially because the roller coaster ride of it, like if you're into it, you're into it. But if you're not super into it, then it would feel like it just has a lack of focus. The past would also make sense if it's supposed to be. I I'd really be less interested in it if it is going to be a time loop series. Like if it is going to be a he can keep on trying or he can keep on going back. I can understand that. I kind of thought from the I was pretty sure from the start, like just because of the way they framed it, that the idea of making a manga for everyone was not the point of the series. Like specifically because of how hard the main character is trashed for creating, for being able to pump out manga at such a quick rate, and none of it has a hook to it. None of it has like any soul to it. I now that I say that, I guess the point of the series, or the overall direction of the series might be that, you know, they're coming at this from two separate angles. His idea is, I just want to make a series that everyone can enjoy, but he can't, he doesn't have any soul to put into it. Where she can create an artificial soul almost, like just through her love of manga. She can take, bits and pieces of other people's souls and stitch them together into something that is super well planned out, but also extremely good. And I think the third, like, we are going. I feel like the end game is going to be he comes up with, there is something he personally really, really loves, or there's something that he can write that he does put into the manga. Because I think that's gotta, like, if we are going to loop around, if it is going to be you can keep on trying to do this until you manage to save Aino's life, then like there's only so many variations on not having any soul in the series that you can do. And he is trying to continue the series through a very weak version of what Aino did to create the series. Like he is, meticulously going through it and trying to figure out exactly how you can scientifically make the next, chapter more interesting and more twisty. Yeah, I mean, as I said at the start, the danger of writing a series in your series that is extremely good is making people want to just read that series. It would be really cool if the writer was more in tune with like editors and stuff. Like if this was like it's always going to be through a filter of some sort. But I would be genuinely really interested in like a description of the perfect series according to like the Shonen Jump editorial staff. Yeah, like Bakuman was very good at giving you glimpses of the manga and having it make sense. Like we did get to see certain twists or even certain pages that were very impactful. I mean, Zaku. I do think that the original White Knight is not something we could ever see created, but I don't see why the current version of White Knight, like the one that is branching off from Aino's final chapter, like I don't see why we couldn't see that, and then have a discussion of what part of this is good, what part of this is bad, without having to default on things that the actual original White Knight did that were perfect. I think it is very possible to use a perfect series in a narrative sense, as a you never get to see it, but this is the invisible benchmark that everything else falls short of. I'm certain the reason they're not showing it is because, like, the series is supposed to be more about saving Aino than it is about, how the sausage is made in terms of manga. But they're so intricately tied together that I can't be interested. I can only have a certain level of interest in how to save Aino if I don't understand how it works. It's the same as a like a magic series where there are magic powers and the main character has to enhance his magical abilities so that he can fight big bad person and save his friends, but we don't know how he can improve his magic or what his magic is. We just know he's doing it and it's not working. Like there are a lot of cool ways to use a narrative black box in fiction, but it's real tricky, and I do think that this is not a good black box to use, or rather, this black box is not being used in a great way. Anyways, that's basically all I have to say about Time Paradox Ghostwriter. On my current lineup, where would it go? Like, it's definitely on the lower half. I'd put it below. below me and Roboco, above Ghost Reaper Girl. Like, the Roboco chapter did make me laugh a couple times. It was decent. This chapter was very workmanlike. Like, it was definitely a chapter. Anyways, that is Time Paradox Ghostwriter. Next, we've got Undead Unluck, Chapter 26. Not so much as a finger. Not so much as a finger. What does that mean? I mean, Tatiana's exploding, and I don't know how a finger would fit into that. Or, I assume finger might just be, like, a measure, like an amount. In which case, like, if she's poisonous, it could be, like, a finger's worth of her poison is enough to kill everyone on the ship, and she's releasing so much more of it. Or something like that. I mean, I can't blame him for shooting into it. This does feel like a very, final boss, second stage form thing. But okay, so even the shots that went in did not actually, get through that area. Oh, this does raise a good question of, like, does she have a filtration system? Or, like, will this keep the gas out, but then how does she get oxygen? I mean, like, we brought up the oxygen question with Gina, which means that we should be able to apply it to every other negator and have an answer. Oh, I can't believe we are seeing her as a kid, but still. Huh. Oh, snap. Whew. This does have, like, very powerful, awakening as a mutant or awakening as a psychic energy to it. Now, is this a coincidence, or is this, like, not one of the rules, but just a rule? Because we don't know, like, we know Fuko mostly, like, we know she wasn't unlucky forever, so it does make sense that at some point she gained it. But when was that? Like, for instance, she wasn't isolated from her parents. She did kiss them before they got on the plane and died, so that had to have happened, like, relatively, around, like, she had to have been older rather than younger for that. So it can't be like, it always happens when you're 5. I mean, the birthday could just be a thematic, like, on this time, on this date where, changes happen, where I gained another year, this bad thing also happens to me. I do imagine any mangaka that is reading Chainsaw Man, like, in Jump, is looking at it and going, okay, so that is, I can get away with that then. I wasn't thinking about it, but I can. I can't wait to see how the me and Roboco mangaka takes, what Fujimoto's doing in Chainsaw Man and applies it to me and Roboco. Yeah, so it is definitely a barrier. But that's actually a pretty small barrier, all things considered. I mean, it also does seem to affect, her equally from every direction, starting with her, starting in the middle of her body. But then this blast is so much bigger. I mean, I guess that might just be her barrier instantaneously existing and, immediately pushing all the air around her super far away. Okay, so she was, like, I was wondering if this was the Mafia used her as a weapon, but okay, no, she was sold just like the other people on the ship. Huh, how does this work? Like, she does have, I was gonna say an IV, but it looks like it's going into her mouth. So I assume that is food. How is that going into her, then? If, like, nothing else can get in. Since she repels any kind of outside stain, she makes for the perfect trophy piece for any collection. Oh, that's so messed up. Jeez. Huh. Oh, actually, maybe this tube exists in her current design, and that's how she's able to breathe. Like, maybe she does just have a tube that she breathes out of. Okay, so he's blind. I mean, it's the combo of he's blind, but he also, like, we've seen him look around and stuff, or, like, he's clearly aware of his surroundings. And he's aware of where Tatiana is right now. So, how does that work? Jesus Christ. Oh, it always hurts me whenever, you hear really dark like not just dark lines coming from a kid, but specifically lines that make sense from the lived experience of a kid. Like everything that she regrets, like she isn't talking about, things she can't do when she gets older. That's something that I always find really weird coming from a kid's perspective, unless they are like extremely intelligent. Whereas like these are all things that yeah, she has gone through. Like they're so small scale from an adult's perspective, but they are everything that she misses. Yeah, I can see the airy vibes for sure. I mean, how do you handle this one? How in the world do you tell her this is gonna be okay? It's the long cake bar. Oh yeah, this has strong Dojin energy in its own right. Okay, it is specifically opening your mouth creates a hole in the barrier. I mean, first of all, how do you figure this one out? But secondarily, I mean, God. This is some real Dojin logic. Like, it is the completely invincible except for the mouth. But genuinely, I do really want to appreciate how cool this is as a way to get to her. As a clear, like, you didn't get to have your birthday cake because you annihilated the cake and also your parents, and also your life has been suffering. But at the very least, I can give you cake. And, like, this is something he had to design. Like, it isn't something he found off the street. It's not like he's trying to feed her a Twizzler or something. Like, it shows some level of caring, or some level of, wanting someone to be happy, to specifically make a cake bar like this. Zaku. Okay, so if she takes it off, it will like, and I can imagine how taking it off is not just dangerous, like in a general, it's gonna blow up everything in the area sense, but also it might be traumatic in a, this is how I killed my parents sense. I guess she must. I was gonna say, like, clearly her body repels all dirt, but her mouth, like, if opening her mouth, creates a bit, creates a area where it doesn't happen, then I guess she has to have the big old long toothbrush. Either that, or maybe some sort of like powerful mouthwash. I mean, they've got artifacts, they've got negators. They should be able to they should find a way to create some sort of mouthwash that doesn't require you to brush your teeth. I feel like Nico's too scummy looking to be a villain. I mean, I do like I can see the vibes from the whole like, I don't really care about her, I just give me that data. But I think that is supposed to eventually be his charming points. That he does care, but at the same time, like he, the thing he cares about the most is his technology and his data and whatnot. But he also cares about everyone else as a like, as an ABC sort of situation. There's gonna come a day when you use it to protect someone important. When that time eventually comes, let it loose of your own free will. So this, I guess this is also like the first time she's ever done it. Oh, this also means that if the if the Union ends up looting this boat, that they won't have the best stuff, which does create immediate like a lot of good stuff was on this boat, but we're not going to immediately be able to get all the good stuff because it was already taken. I think that's good for balancing. Oh boy! Now, it might be tough to loot this boat after this. Might have to eat those words real quick. And I see, yeah, I guess this was like right in the middle of the 2 pages, hence the split. But this split makes sense because it is like untouchable. How did Unrepair get here? Oh, okay. There's sort of a flashy thing going on with his foot here, so I assume he has some sort of super jumpy ability. Or not ability, like a super jumpy artifact or something. By the way, I do appreciate Andy's ability for how, like, it allows him to do air battles without just giving him the power of flight. Like, Dragon Ball really presents the dangerous problem of, like, if you can, like, air fights are really cool, but if you can just hang out in the air forever, it stops being cool, and it starts just being, you're just in the air punching people. Oh, those could be robot legs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that makes sense. Now, this actually raises the question of, is it that he jumped that high, or is it that he was caught in the blast and then it just pushed him upwards? Because like the crack started there, so he would have had enough time to look at it and jump out of the way. Oh yeah, that is a good point. It should be, huh? Yes, Pep, please tell me. Please elaborate. I am very curious to learn, like, if there's a pattern at all there. And yeah, Zaki, you're right. He definitely had to have jumped. I mean, homie, I Unrepair does feel like he's going to be the rival character, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, alternatively, I guess they could have a crazy reveal of, Fuko's always going to be bleeding from now on. But it's fine because, they have something that'll allow her to, to still walk around and be okay. Now, does that work with everything? Yeah, so, like, Tatiana is untouchable, whereas untouched would then be... And yeah, I guess it does make sense with Fuko being unluck as opposed to unlucky. It's not that she herself is unlucky, it's that she puts unluck onto people. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's a little wonky just due to the... Like... The negator names have already been a little touchy with, what am I trying to call it again? Grammar? That's right, grammar. But I do think that the pattern makes sense. Huh, good points. Anyways, that was Undead Unluck. I think it's gotta be the best thing I've read thus far. It'd be real tough to, to say anything else. Here's where we're at right now. Yeah, I think this pretty solidly beats out Bone Collection, and then by that virtue, everything else. Next, we've got Chainsaw Man, Chapter 79, Play Catch. Or as my phone wanted to say, Play Cash. Not sure if that's an accurate translation. Oh, that's so cool! Now, I don't know if I'd say this accurately represents the the volume, but sure. It's a good volume cover. It looks cool. I guess it depends on how, like, it was a pretty long arc, so maybe Doll Devil's gonna be volume 9. And plus, we do have to consider the, the metatextual knowledge of people who only read the volumes, and therefore, every time they get a new volume, they are looking at the cover. In which case, I can understand for sure keeping darkness off the cover, so it is still terrifying and strange and hard to comprehend. Really, this volume answered the last chapter of the arc. Really? Yeah, this feels even weirder then. Like, I do like the idea of covers that, include elements from the arc. Like, so it is very clearly like you can look at the cover and go, oh yeah, that's that thing. I know when that is. But from a new perspective, it's not spoilery. But it's still really strange as a choice for the end of the arc. Like, if I had to choose a design, I think I would have gone with, I think maybe just, super pumped up Darkness Doll Devil's arms. Like, maybe not the full design, but just, like, part of it. Or even maybe even just the full design. Or maybe, like, not the design we see at the very end, because it does, like, upgrade itself further. But, like, the design right before final super dark design. Like, the one where it is, just, this is the power that will destroy Makima. This is peak performance. I think that would be a good one. Yeah, like, the difference is, this is not an image from the chapters, and it also doesn't really tell me anything about the chapters. Like, it really just tells me this person exists. And even then, like, it's not that interesting as a pose or anything. I mean, it's fine. But, like, yeah, it's not great. Alternatively, this would be a bad design, but I think, like, having Hell Devil's arm or hand show up would be also pretty cool. Like, as a, like, oh, this is a cool image for the cover, and then you read the chapters and you go, oh, actually, that is literal. The hand is actually there. or something like that. But yeah, it's a tightrope. It's tricky. Ah, this is destroying my soul. I mean, I do really like the aesthetic of it being like an actual picture, like an actual Polaroid that was taken. And I do think this works really well digitally, actually. Like, because the white here blends in perfectly with the white over here, so it does look like someone just put down a Polaroid on, on my screen. Also, child power is really killing me. I'm really scared that she's gonna be horribly hurt in this, in this chapter then. Oh no. Because she hasn't done very much, and for her to be in here in the kid memories, it gives me a very big, oh, hey, Power's gonna play too, and Aki tosses a snowball, and the snowball is actually 5 million bullets. I think it would just be that she's supposed to be extra short. Like, just, they're starting to have growth spurts, like, not even puberty, but, just, some level of growth, where she's still, super short. Play catch is not play ball, but I assume it is supposed to be harkening back to Aki's brother who wants to play ball. I also think in a situation where it wasn't Aki, if it was anyone else with the Gun Devil, I think a lot of people would have a problem with him being so close to Denji. But I really like the snowball fight as a internal landscape justifying why it is that he's staying so close. Like, the reason why Denji can have a more or less fair fight here is because Aki isn't, trying to snipe him. Oh, I did not get that. Thank you, Zaku. I assumed it was a random date. Like, because we know that, this is, in real life right now, or, in the world of the series, it is September. So I kind of just glazed over the 6. Jeez. There's also something very scary to, his big ol' multi-building buster attack not being what he does with his giant arm. I mean, he has done damage with his giant arm, but the idea, the head gun is so powerful is also pretty scary. Mm? Why? What are they doing? I mean, to be fair, this is a pretty scary situation, so maybe they are just going oh, I guess 2 devils are fighting. I'm gonna kill one. Oh, oh my god. I don't know how comfortable I am about, citizens literally giving Denji a blood tribute. I mean, it is really cool. Like, I am glad that they like him, that they know him, that they know he's on their side, and it's not a crazy miscommunication situation. See, I didn't take them as being doll devil puppets, but I did assume that they might just be, angry civilians or something. Man, also, it did not take that much blood for him to regrow his arm or his legs, which is interesting. It does have that Spider-Man 2 energy to it. Ah, Aki has become he's already been the thing he hates the most, but this really hammers it in. Now he has killed someone's brother, or a completely innocent person's brother. He's come completely full circle. It is the worst possible moment. I think a part of his internal landscape is also it is simultaneously, I believe, Control Devil's power creating a world in which he would be okay with using this power, because down to his very core, Aki would not hurt civilians or hurt anyone like this. But I think it's also a way for him to, how do I put this? I think on some level he does understand that Denji is stopping him. He is having fun, but at the same time, I think he is, I think this is also, this is so much stronger than seeing a Chainsaw Man cry, because I do think the design would be, I mean, you can make anything look good, but I don't think seeing tears coming out of the Chainsaw Man head would be that impactful. Whereas, seeing it from Aki's eyes, knowing that he can see how much pain and sadness Denji is in, and, to see that he is at the point, even in his dream landscape where nothing is actually serious, that he would give up because he sees how distraught Denji is. That's some strong stuff. Yeah, we don't know it for a fact, but I feel it in my soul. Specifically the fact that Aki presumably suppressed himself and, didn't do anything big up until he got to Denji's, until he got back to the apartments. That and also like the internal landscape being a place where he can, where he can do aggressive quote unquote things, where he can throw the snowballs and it doesn't scare him. It doesn't affect, like, he has no way of knowing what awful things he's doing. Like, that feels very Makima to me. Or very Control, I should say. Is Aki dead? I mean, this really feels like the transition from life to death. Actually, this specifically feels like the transition from life to death. Like, Denji hits him in the head, then he falls over on the ground, and then from this point on, I think he's dead. Because, like, Denji's gone, completely different space, he sees his little brother again. I'm actually really surprised that Fujimoto didn't go for the classic, oh, I'm being hugged in the dream world and I'm being stabbed through, the chest with both arms, IRL. Like, I was also definitely visualizing more of a, like, this was the headshot. Like, this is Denji smashing a chainsaw into his head. Yeah, I can see it. Like, yeah, specifically with the hug followed by the chainsaw stuff dissolving. Yeah. Also, my god. Like, the art here is not bad, not by any stretch of the imagination. But it does look so different. Oof. You died in the worst possible way for the chainsaw boy. I mean, to be fair, this is why Future made the contract. And why, I mean, it wasn't great, sure, but Aki did get the power to see the future for free. I mean, I guess it's less for free and more this was his payments. Like, nothing he did, like, nothing he saw could have stopped him from seeing this happening. Like, how do I put this? The payment was, I want to see, you die in the worst possible way because I know you will die in the worst possible way. So I do think the payment was just, like, there is no way to change this. Or rather, I, as the future devil, in another way, maybe I could have given you some information that would help you stray from this path. But in exchange for the ability to see the future, I am going to, I will not do that. I mean, yeah, Zaku, but I do think the future devil gets to be there. Doesn't, like, there is an implicit this will happen that is also there. Like, the future devil cannot physically be there to see it if it doesn't happen. They finally get to play ball, or rather catch ball. I think I've said for a while how, like, not just that I like Aki a lot, but that I am so constantly surprised at how much I like Aki. In any other series, he would be the most boring garbage person who exists only as a foil for, all the characters that you want to see. It is really, like, it is so genius for Fujimoto to be able to create a character who is so extremely interesting, compelling, without also being wacky. Like, we do have the explanation of, if you're, the fact that he is part of public safety is inherently him being insane. Slash, the fact that he's putting up with all of this is also pretty nuts. Like, sure. But he still plays the role of the straight man so often. And not just the straight man. By the end, like, in this arc, he was the straight, kind man as well. I'm so curious to see what the dynamic of the cast is going to be after this point. Like, we've already got, we had Aki as the, as the straight man, and I do think, like, Denji and Power are okay by themselves now, like, now that Power's calmed down a little bit, and Denji is less of a cuckoo bananas, put everything on the bread kind of boy. But they still need, someone to do stuff. I mean, I guess not even, like, Denji and Power did keep up the chore wheel pretty darn well. So I think that, like, they could live by themselves if necessary. But I don't think public safety would do that. Like, part of why Aki was so important was also that he was the reason why an even more authoritarian figure didn't show up and make life hell for Denji and Power. Like, he was there to make sure they did their jobs while at the same time, he wasn't so strict and so heartless that their lives sucked. Oh, man. Yeah, Kishibe would make sense from he's already training them. He is their sensei. And he is maybe one of the only human beings on the planet who could stop Denji, and especially Denji and Power together. But I do like the comedic possibility of them bringing back Kobani because no one else has, as much of a bond with them as Kobani. Like, Kobani is the number 2 right after Aki. Oh no! Oh, let me just. Oh man. Yikes. Fujimoto, why? Yeah, sure, damage. Why not? Let me just pull this bad boy up. Let's learn about Kishibe. Okay. Okay. Also, wait a minute. What country is this? I mean, I guess I'm assuming Japan. But in that case, why was Quan Chi here? The idea of Quan Chi working for public safety is the most bonkers thing on the planet. Well, I guess now we know how he got those scars. Gonna look away and scroll back up real quick. I hate Imager. Why is the site like this? Oh. That is the best possible payoff for the situation. Also, like, from a partner perspective, I actually do like the idea that she wasn't like, it's not that she knew from the start she was a lesbian and so this is just super annoying. It is that she didn't know either way. Like, clearly Kishibe is harassing her, but at the same time it is more of a like, clearly it doesn't bother her. She doesn't care. And by the very end, they are friendly enough for her to come out to him. I wonder if he was at all happy for her when she shows up, in the main series, and she's got a big ol' sexy harem, and he is sad and alone and training punks who hate him. Yeah, I do think this is such a good panel, and I appreciate that this is a, it is leaping forward by leaps and bounds in time. But this is... as far as a, hey, do you want to know how this character got this really defining scar? Like, this is fantastic, especially because of how casual he is about it in the shots. Like, he is in unbelievable pain, I must assume. But his point, he is seeing it as just a, oh, you know what? I might be able to really impress her with this one. I mean, I guess arguably Quan Chi had a better life. I mean, overall, still has a better life. But in these 9 years, I think there is something to be said for having a goal. For Kishibe, really liking someone and always being around them and being friends, if not, anything more. Whereas Quan Chi took 9 years to realize she was a lesbian. I mean, to be fair, I guess you could see then her having a big lesbian harem as being an extension of this. Kishibe continued to be man on sidelines, whereas Quan Chi, in this... how do I put this? In this template, Quan Chi is still herself, but instead of punching some guy, she is having sex with a harem of beautiful women. And then... I guess this doesn't really work as a template, never mind. But yeah, I mean, even if they don't pull it out, by virtue of being a hybrid, she is immortal. So I do think, she's still... I mean, not having a great time since her harem is now dead, but still, she can keep on going. This ain't the end for her. I have seen this one, but it's still good. Yeah, you do actually bring up a good point. He does slowly devolve from, just being a cocky douchebag to just straight up confessing at one point. I don't know if we directly saw Cosmo die, but I'm pretty sure it was implied that, the whole harem died. Then again, I mean, I guess Chainsaw Man is a series where you can't just say, it was implied, therefore it happens. Alright, that's gotta be enough Chainsaw Man. Let me close some of these tabs real quick, which is not a sentence I ever really say. And let us move on to... oh no, this is more Chainsaw Man. I guess we're still going to Chainsaw Man. Hey, he wants to see a reaction to Chapter 1. Well, too bad, Zaku. Next is Dr. Stone, chapter 160. Depending on how long this is, as a goof, I might just edit in all of Chainsaw Man chapter 1. Oh, yeah. This represents, every time, like, this is my O-face, blood and all. I mean, we know he ain't dead, but still, I mean, this could be Senku completely out of commission for the rest of the arc. Oh boy, what is the Cuck Squad gonna do? Also, this is the statement of not a heterosexual man. I'm just gonna say that right now. I mean, granted, it could just be that he's very pragmatic, but I think it's also a clear, like, her charm does not work on him, not one iota. He does not care. Ah, yeah, this is also just a real awkward situation. I mean, yeah, fair points. It's not that Holy Mac is not going to be safer for them, but at the same time, like, they can't just go murder people. That's how you start a war, and they cannot fight a war. Like, yeah, like, where do they go from here? Don't bury him just yet. Also, it actually does say a lot about the power of this gun, that it punched right through the ship, right into Senku's, big ball of oobleck. And then, like, I mean, when it punched through the wall, it was already shrapnel. The shrapnel punched through the oobleck, punched through Senku, went through the other side. Ah, yeah, homie, it's been gone for a while. Like, ever since they all broke out the second time. I mean, all the others, like, drew on cracks again, but, Yo can't really do that with a giant chunk of stone. I mean, I feel real bad for him, but I feel like this is also, like, it's a combination, thank goodness for this, saving my best friend's life, but also I think he's gonna remember it. I think Kaseki's gonna make some, something using Oobleck technology later on. I mean, if they can't stone him, I think they might this could be a Senku just actually does have to heal for a couple years. Or not a couple years. Like, really, he just has to, like, stay alive. Like, I think he might just stay in recovery up until they find another Stony machine. Like, I do think the Stony machine, like, if they just had one always, that'd be too much of a hack. But I think right now, like, just knowing that they exist in the world, knowing that, like, Senku can be genuinely, severely hurt all over right now, but there is technology in the world that will allow him to recover back to, being mostly back to normal pretty easily if they can find one. Like, that does change the entire tone of this. That does give me hope that maybe he will be severely hurt for a long time. This actually reminds me a lot of the original Sulfurina arc, like the build up to it. When I was talking about how, like, oh yeah, this is a situation where maybe Senku's gonna go in and get the sulfuric acid, but it's gonna really hurt him, and then, like, he won't be able to be the main character for a little chunk of the series. I'm getting that energy now. I mean, like, still being in recovery, he'll be able to still say stuff, but he won't be able to, like, he can't build things. And if he is to have a plan, he will have to actually explain the entire plan to someone instead of, like, holding something back for the big twists. Oh, is Luna the medic? I mean, not the medic, but, like, a medic. It's been a while since I've seen some, like, actually actionable Dr. Stone information. Like, stuff that isn't just like, hey, if you want to build a drone, here's how you do it. I mean, I was never in this situation specifically, but as I was in a medical adjacent field, I get this feeling of I want to be a capable gal, but I can't make it work. I mean, like, anyone prostrating themselves before you has got to be really humbling. But I think specifically her going in and, like, knowing that this is quote-unquote Dr. Taiju, like, going in with the understanding that this is the important person who she needs to assassinate, and then seeing him, bowing before her, begging her to help, like, that's gotta do something to you, right? I mean, I guess the series doesn't always have the science consultant Kurare thing around where, the information is. But usually, I mean, I guess that might just be a coincidence. But if there is any correlation between the sighting of, science consultant Kurare and the page on which information is, what on this page is the thing that Kurare said, like, hey, this is information, this is scientifically accurate? It's the statement of, arrows I might be able to handle, but the machine gun crossfire will kill us on the spot. Did we need Kurare to explain that, but not the pulse thing? Was that a, an Inagaki original? Oh, this is a real good reaction image. Oh, I don't like the mouth here. That's a scary mouth. I don't know why this mouth scares me less than this mouth. I think it's got to be just the angle that's really bugging me out. Like, this is too sideways for me, whereas Chrome's mouth is more of a, like, looking upwards into it. I mean, when she says top-notch reinforcements, she does mean Suika and also some guys. There's no way, though, right? I mean, they're not going to tunnel there by hand, and they don't have a tunneling machine, right? Okay. Now, it is the combination of me saying they don't have a tunneling machine. I was setting myself up mentally to think, oh, like, maybe the the buggy that they were driving around on the island arc, or on the island, I should say, not the island arc. Like, I was expecting them to reveal, like, oh, by the way, we did bring along this thing, which is a very improvised digging machine. And instead I saw giant digging Senku mecha. I am waiting for the point in Dr. Stone where this happens, and then we get the, oh, this isn't Boichi having fun. This is canonical. Like, we're just gonna keep on going. I mean, I assume the information is, hey, Senku just got shot. Oh. This also actually parallels what I thought was going to happen in the Sulphurine arc. Like, I thought it was going to be Senku, Senku goes in and gets the sulfuric acid, and Chrome has to continue on. Especially since, like, before they went to the sulfuric acid, we had that big important shot where Senku was like, hey, before we do this, I gotta teach you all of humanity's science right here, right now. Which didn't actually happen. That was a, misdirect. But this really feels like the spiritual sequel to that. Like, it is the Senku actually has been taken out now, and he hasn't given Chrome all of humanity's science information. But he's given him some of it, like, just through the stuff we've seen, but also, like, they had a full year of, building the Perseus, and presumably Chrome learning more and more from Senku. Whatever crazy situation humanity finds itself in. Oh man. You gotta realize that Dr. Chrome, the scientist now, is you. We came in for Dr. Stone, but instead we got Dr. Chrome. And this face, it's such a not Chrome face. Like, when I think Chrome, I do think of, like, super chipper, little, like, not dumb, but, a little naive, but, very excited, very willing to do something. This is more of a subdued, like, it's not even a Senku face. It is a deathly serious face. I don't know if he looked like this even when the Kingdom of Might kidnapped him. There's also something pretty amazing about it being, Senku's mentor versus, Senku's trainee. Like, it is, two people who have no connection to one another besides Senku. Like, their connector is Senku, but they've never met each other. They didn't grow up in the same time. They are so unbelievably different. I think that might also be a part of it. Like, the reason why they were able to snipe Senku was because, they knew for a fact Senku would hide in the best possible place to get sniped. And, like, it was one shot. Like, if Senku had just hidden in an area that was not the optimal place to not get sniped, then, the bullet would have just hit the ship, and presumably, Senku would not have died. Or, I mean, not died, like, he wouldn't have been injured. He could have just faked an injury, I'm real excited to see how Chrome does this. And, like, it's not that Senku's dead. Senku is around. He can give them information. If Chrome has a really good idea, Senku can tell him, like, hey, you don't know how to do this, but I'll tell you how to do it. But now Chrome is the one in charge. Plus, I really love the idea of it being the man who wants to rule the world, because the world's been devolved to nothing, quote unquote. Like, it is the blank slate, it is a tabula rasa, versus someone who grew up in that blank world, someone who did not know anything about science, who started off thinking it was just straight up magic, and who has a completely different lived experience. Like, it is the classic, oh, in a zombie apocalypse, I'd be the guy who rebuilds a civilization, I'd be top dog, versus, oh, the zombie apocalypse actually happened, and this random person who only knows the zombie apocalypse is so much better suited for it than, this guy who just wants to do it for wish fulfillment. There's something really cool about that. Anyways, that's the Dr. Stone. Where does that go? It's definitely in the top half. I'm gonna put it above Bone Collection, below Undead Unluck. Honestly, like, I don't know what exactly makes it go below Undead Unluck. It is a really good chapter. I think it is just that it's a little too simple for me, perhaps. Like, it is a strong emotional chapter, but it was also split up between, like, Senku's severely hurt, but also we need to strike back, but also it's, gotta put Chrome up there. Also, Luna's, taking charge and being a capable gal. Whereas the Undead Unluck chapter was so much, it had more of a singular focus. And it was about a character I care about, but it was so much more single-minded. I mean, Damage. I guess you might not know this, but there are people right now saying, like, it is my right to be infected with COVID-19, or rather, I should have the choice. Like, if I want to go out there and I want to go into a building where everyone else is wearing masks, I should be allowed to not wear a mask and get infected if I want to. That is my choice. Yeah. God. But anyways, that's the Dr. Stone. Next, we've got My Hero Academia, chapter 279. I guess just that. I was looking for the page, but man, I'm not a big fan of these outfits. Like, Horikoshi's done this before, where it is the teal and tan look for everyone, and it's not. I mean, it's not bad. I like it conceptually, but it just doesn't do anything in particular for me. Oh, that's Sun Eater. I was wondering who that was. Oh, I guess this is also supposed to be like a fancy dress party, which is why everyone's all wearing suits and stuff. And I thought this was supposed to be like just the UA cafeteria for some reason, which is why Bakugo's next to a bunch of food. But no, I guess it is supposed to be, fancy party. Here's a buffet style area to go get food. Come on, Horikoshi, so lazy. Why didn't you draw an outfit for All Might? It is interesting that it seems like Suyu is the only one who is varying from the colors that everyone else has to wear. Like, everyone else is wearing the teal and tan, but Suyu's got like an actual just straight up green strap going on here. It's interesting that this is so face forward as well. Oh man, Invisible Girl's shot is actually really weird because of that. Like, everyone else has a big face shot, and I get part of that is because it's very hard to show you what her face looks like, or to do a close up on her face that isn't just we're looking at the background. I guess that is it. Like, it is someone going up to him and specifically saying like, "Hey, can I get a picture, for my Instagram?" Because yeah, like, they're all doing things that would make sense with someone saying, "Can I get a picture?" I also do like the not direct continuity, but just like, yeah, like, some people are next to one another, but it's not like super obvious. Yes, it's a good two-page spread. Not my favorite by a long shot, but it's fine. Number 279, League of Villains versus UA Students. Okay. Oh boy. I mean, I guess it's going to be the UA students as a whole are going to take down Gigantomachia. Now, is the same guy who took the photos here, and also in, I guess, episode 1 of season 4, is it the same person running through the forest right now, making sure we get shots of everyone? Now, I'm not sure if I understand Momo's explanation here. Well, sorry, I'm just rereading it. Like, yeah, like, she has created a completely undiluted amount. but like I don't understand why she brought up the he would require 30 liters of the solution. Like, could they not just inject the single vial into him? Like, if they're going to give it to him anyways through an oral dose, I guess the danger would be then, like, if you inject it into him, he might die. Whereas if it's an oral dose, like, oral administration is almost always much weaker than injection. Like, it's a bit better if it's sublingual, if it's under the tongue. But then that brings up the question of how do you hold it under his tongue? Huh. I mean, no, like with any injection though, like the when you inject anything into the bloodstream, it does eventually spread. Like just by virtue of it going into the heart and then the heart pushing it through the whole body and then, it coming back in again, like it eventually dilutes through the blood regardless. Now, do they are they let me just zoom in right here. Do they all have one? I guess so, yeah, because we're seeing like at least two different ones. Okay, okay. Boy, I'm just saying my high school would not allow this. I feel like if you give out vials and vials of undiluted heroin essentially to a bunch of kids, someone's gonna stash theirs. Mendetta's keeping his for sure. I mean, if we hadn't seen Midnight after, or not Midnight, if we hadn't seen Mount Lady after this, if it was she got bonked on the head, she was holding it back, but now we just don't talk about it, I'd be fine with it. She did enough. The fact that she's still hanging on is insane. I have nothing but respect for her. Oh, did someone actually manage to trip him? Okay, okay. I see, I see. I did not see Kamui Woods here. I thought this speech bubble was Mount Lady screaming. But okay, that's Mudman's quirk. Okay, okay. Boy, he looks so absolutely inhuman like this. Like, he looks like it's just a big ol' rock with a head attached to it. Huh, what is Toga thinking here? I mean, is she just getting excited, or is there something specific that she's thinking of here? Also, I mean, in terms of vials of blood we've seen, she's kind of dry, but like as a commander, I imagine she probably has a bunch of blood from a bunch of, just people in the organization. I'd I'd be very disappointed if she didn't. Like, even if it is just like one shot of her turning into Giten or something, I'd really like to see it. Hmm. This is, I mean, it's not a full nail in the coffin. This really does preclude the idea of the League of Villains all knowing Kaminari and going like, oh yeah, he's a cool dude. They can't do it through force alone, so they've got to distract him, right? Like, they have to literally leave him breathless while they throw the violin. Because even if, he's just not breathing out and they toss it in, he could always just cough it out, right? Really, a quirk that transforms morale into physical energy. Another that renders him numb to pain. And a whole bunch more. The power to turn morale into physical energy is definitely not one I expected a Gigantomachia to have. Like, it does make sense considering how, a big part of his strength seems to be his, the fact that All for One is around. The fact that he is, pumped up and excited and ready to serve. Ah, Spinner. Oh, I really do like this as an inversion of the typical, Endeavor or All Might could be doing a lot better, but because we're around, they can't fight at their maximum strength. Like, I love the twist of Gigantomachia as being weakened by the League of Villains, which would also potentially mean that they have to get off his back and, start going after the kids in order to let Gigantomachia, properly dig his way out. Jesus Christ, Mount Lady! She's really earning it. I don't think Horikoshi has the desire to kill her. I was gonna say, like, I don't know if it would even be a ballsy move. Like, she is a beloved character, but at the same time, I do think if she died, it would be more of just a downer than a big, like, oh boy, I can't believe he did it. I think she's just gonna get some more brain damage. Damage, no. But the fact that we're focusing on Mina again makes me feel like we are going to maybe do another flashback or something to I don't know. I feel like we've kind of already mined the whole Red Riot / Mina backstory, kind of, but there's still something there. I'm gonna say we're gonna mine it just a little bit. Like, even if it is just a panel or two of her going, I remember him, and then we don't really follow up on it. Yeah, I definitely do think Midnight's a much more, like, because she's a teacher, and because like, she means so much more than Mount Lady. Mount Lady is very important as, like, one of the first heroes we saw, and as, being this very physically large person. Like, being literally a large looming figure, and also being, like, closer to the kids than she is to the pro heroes. Like, she is a pro hero, but she's also very young in her career. Like, there is something very powerful to the idea of her dying, but I do think Midnight's much closer. All right, I mean, that's the chapter. In terms of ranking, it was a little messy. Like, it was exciting, but at the same time, I do think Horikoshi did a good job of balancing the wild pace of it and, the fact that this is all the UA kids fighting with, making it actually intelligible and somewhat easy to follow. Like, this does feel like, My Hero Academia done right. Like, the hero and the academia are both being used in a way that works, which has been a long-running complaint I've had about the series. So, I'll put it below Bone Collection. All right, one more series. That's right. If you haven't, if you didn't know, I'm doing Kaiju number 8. Oh no, damage. I gotta wait. I can't move on. For what purpose, though? I can't believe we're already at volume 1 of Bone Collection. That's a good cover. Like, the artistic direction of the series is not something I adore. I would definitely not say it's one of my selling points for it, but yeah, this is a good cover. I do like the way that you can read these as being both, like, like spines, but also sort of teeth. Like, it sort of has a bitey energy to it. Also, Pyra has different... I can't tell if that's supposed to be, if she's heterochromatic, or if that is just a weird coloring thing. It looks like one of those is blue and the other isn't. Oh no, there's a little blue there. It's just more, more dark. Okay, no problem. Oh no, I went into full screen. Thank you for that. Let us hit the last series. Kaiju number 8, Chapter 1. Oh man, I hit it a little too late where it actually fixed itself, but for a brief period it said, how do you number 8, Chapter 1? I mean, so far, art is looking pretty good. Huh. What is going on with this? Like, the bleeding from the eyes reminds me a lot, I mean, also just the face, it reminds me a lot of Shin Godzilla's first form. Like, the form that's just sort of, like, flapping around on the land, and it's, like, bleeding out of its gills all the time because it doesn't know how to be on land. Yeah, like, monster number 8 would be not a direct translation. Like, the most direct translation, I guess, would be giant monster number 8. But the immediate, first bubble here of the land of kaiju, Japan, immediately sets the tone of, like, if you don't know what a kaiju is, you just assume, okay, that's, just the name for monsters in the series. But if you know what kaiju are, it does immediately give you this feeling of, oh yeah, like Godzilla. Like, it makes immediate sense. Like, oh, okay. Like, of course, Japan would have the highest monster emergence rate, while also stating that, the fact that it is the highest and not the only means that the kaiju have to be popping up everywhere. I mean, I guess it also implies that kaiju number 8 does not refer to literally the 8th kaiju that has ever come into being. 42 is level 6. There is no threat of an emergence-induced tsunami occurring. Huh. Okay. So the series already has like kaiju hunters. Also, boy oh boy, I kind of when my eyes glazed over this as being sort of like the back of a stegosaurus, where it's got like spikes and stuff coming out of it. I did not realize that this was exposed flesh and like exposed bone. Huh, damn. I mean, that explains why it's bleeding out of its eye. How in the world did they do this? This honestly reminds me a lot of what I thought Ziga was going to be. I mean, to be fair, we're like 3 pages in, so I shouldn't be saying this is what the series is. But the thing I was most excited for with Ziga was the idea of normal-sized human beings fighting giant kaiju. Like, I think the size differential there is super interesting. Like, even if you have, big artillery and stuff, like, the idea of it not being a kaiju versus kaiju or a giant robot versus kaiju is inherently really interesting as a, like, how do you do it? It's a completely different translation. Okay. That's really surprising. Like, usually, from what I understand from the Weekly Shonen Jump podcast, is like Viz's, like the new Shonen Jump, the current Shonen Jump, the not magazine Shonen Jump, was created in conjunction with Shueisha. Shueisha owns Manga Plus, and the deal was, Viz gets to do the super modern version of Shonen Jump, where they are just releasing the series for free, and it's actually like each series is like its own little thing. It's not all one book. They could do all of that, but in return, Shueisha was going to launch Manga Plus, which has a much wider audience, and everyone gets Manga Plus, or like almost everyone. Not Japan, not South Korea, not whatever. Like there are certain instances where the manga reading thing has already been set up, like there already is an app there or some other service that they can't intrude upon. But yeah, like in exchange for that, not only does Manga Plus get to exist, but also they have the rights to all of Viz's translations. So I would have assumed that yeah, I really wonder how this works, in the back end. Like, did they have to retranslate everything? Or is this a situation of like, well, they don't want to license the version that Shueisha commissioned for Manga Plus, therefore they just did it themselves in-house? Please be on the lookout for Yoju, residual kaiju. Okay. So this must be a Ziga baby situation. Like, the big ones show up, but they can also have small ones, but, they never know, like, they don't always know for sure that's gonna happen. I wonder if that's, like, was that redrawn? Because if so, that's really clean. I mean, specifically, the big Mina there. Oh, boy. I mean, I know this isn't going to be the whole series, but I would not be against the idea of a series that is like Dungeon Meshi, but for kaiju cleanup. That is just the logistics of it. I mean, now that I say it out loud, that sounds extremely boring. And yeah, I do really love the contrast of, the heroes who kill the kaiju and, they're super flashy about it, and then the people who just have to deal with it afterwards. I wonder what they do with the kaiju. Like, are they just, 100% toxic, can't do anything with them, like, like in Pacific Rim? Or are they going to go for the, we turn them into bento boxes route? Oh no. Oh no. Okay. So I guess they were most likely childhood friends then. I can also see the parallel then being, the two of us are both fighting the kaiju, but she does it on the front lines and I do it right afterwards. I'm really curious to see if they're going to go for the, he's so good that he can't waste away his life here. Like, I could see it going both ways as a this is important, or as a this is actually grunt work, he deserves to be on the front lines, quote unquote, and then the rest of the series is him actually fighting the kaiju. Oh, so not cocky, but just like such a jerk. Jeez. Yeah, I am actually very curious about like the process of getting into the kaiju hunting. Like, what is the limit there? It might just be a physical thing. Per the contract, least damaged muscle fibers are to be turned over to Takazuki Developments. And then skeletal cleanup. Okay, so like a bunch of different like private companies presumably do buy up all the all the different disparate parts, or most of the disparate parts. Ah, okay, I'm starting to warm up to him. This is a decent dynamic. Huh. I wonder then, like, yeah, if they were complete. I mean, part of it might just be that there's only so many ways you can translate something, but it might also be that this is a cleaned up translation. Oh, Zaku, you're right. I can definitely see the I can see it. I mean, this kid's no Barnaby, but still. I mean, in terms of hair color, I can see it. Sure, sure. Oh, jeez. Hmm. Huh, how do the Yoju work? Because, like, yeah, this is like 2 days in. I mean, I guess it may have just been like in a dormant state or in an egg or something. The double nose is a pretty interesting look, actually. It's also so humanoid. Like, the kaiju was very, just animalistic, but this looks like a human face. Ah. Oh boy, okay, that ain't a human body, though. Okay, that's interesting. Like, specifically stating that they are after beasts. Like, we don't have a situation of the kaiju shows up and it immediately begins spawning Yoju. It is the kaiju dies and then Yoju show up as well. Huh. It feels like narratively, oh boy, that leg is looking real gnarly. But it feels like narratively she's gonna show up and save his life, right? Okay, there we are. That's some real fast response time, too. Like, this is right at the end of the day, like, everyone's packing up and going home. And yet, when he sent out the response, they immediately came. They're all suited up and everything. Hot damn. Also a tiger. Huh. I mean, it's never not a good situation. Like, it's never not a good choice to bring in a tiger, but it feels like they've got to have a more practical reason for that, right? It really is feeling this is going to be the two of them and their rise to becoming yokai hunters. Kaiju hunters. Too many yokai series running and jump. Oh, man. I mean, I'm rooting for him. Oh, no. Mm-hmm. Okay. What in the world? Oh, boy. Okay, here we go. So we're going for the Attack on Titan vibe as opposed to the World Trigger vibe. It's Ghost Reaper Kaiju! Okay, Kaiju number 8, episode 1, The Man Who Became a Kaiju. Yeah, I can see it. Like, the focus on the musculature is like, I mean, it is very strong looking, but it also has yaoi energy. The hands too. Yeah, I'm into this. Ooh, okay. While the kaiju that mainly more prominently emerge are called honju, or main beasts, the creatures that accompany them when they emerge are called yoju, or residual beasts. Okay. Hmm. Interesting. This actually does remind me a lot of, I think, Astro Lost in Space, where every chapter also came with a like a short bonus, or like they were listed as 0.5 chapters, but sometimes they were actual omakes, other times they were just like, hey, here's some information. But yeah, it's also very simple. It's a white tiger too, or I guess a gray tiger, but still. Huh. That's an interesting choice to make. Like, a more traditional tiger design would have like added a big splotch of color to the rest of the like the team in uniform. By choosing a gray tiger, we're like the team will look more cohesive. Like the tiger will look like more of a part of the team, while at the same time it does like tone down the look. Then again, I assume that this I guess he would be a Yoju, right? Like this design also feels very Bleach actually. It feels a lot like some sort of hollow. I think the head really gives it the hollow vibe. Like this is definitely a mask that you could rip off and then he'll transform. But okay. Yeah, I'm into it. I'm not sure how I'll catch up. Like right now I could probably do one more, but I'm feeling a little rough, so let's not. Yeah, next week, depending on what's out with Jump, like if we have, I guess we'll just see. Like if it's a packed issue of Jump, I might do one more chapter of Kaiju number 8, and then like slowly catch up. Alternatively, like if there's a point where we don't have a bunch of different series, I'll try to catch up faster. Or I mean, there's always the possibility that I'll drop it. We'll see. But it's good. Where does this go on the ranking? It's definitely not a standout, explosive, best thing I've ever read one shot, but it's a good one shot. Or chapter 1. I immediately said one shot. But yeah, like it wasn't an immediate I adore this concept, I adore the series, but it is very solid. I wouldn't even put it above My Hero. Would I put it above Act Dodge? Not necessarily. I'd put it above Black Clover for sure. So I think right in the middle there. So final ranking looks like this. And yeah, I don't see any things I would desperately want to change. So let's bump over to those author comments and then get out of here. Oh, Hell Warden Higema Volume 3. Oh, Annihilation Volume 3 as well. Oh man. It feels really weird getting to see the volumes, like the digital volumes, to get the aftershocks of all these series that get canceled. Oh wait, did I? Whoops. I can't believe I didn't do Chainsaw Man. I remember saying it was going to be super duper high, so was it the best thing I read this week? I honestly, yeah, I might put it there. It had a lot of pathos to it. So I'm just gonna stick that right on top. Thank you very much for telling me. Horikoshi. I mean, that's not that bad of a. I mean, to be fair, I don't know what the kanji, or I guess that wouldn't even be kanji, right? There's definitely no kanji for tentacle. That would have had to have been written in hiragana, right? But yeah, that's fine. I understand it. Covering potatoes in sauce makes them take like croquettes. Highly recommended. What kind of sauce? There's so many different ways you could spin sauce. Itaewon class. Is Oda watching Korean dramas? I'm so used to seeing mangaka say like, "Hey, I'm really happy that I got this, super fresh fruit or whatever, or like this expensive melon." It feels kind of fitting that Hajime Komoto is getting orange juice. Last issue, I was supposed to apologize for the art mistake I made, but I forgot the actual apology parts. Oh, Yoshifumi, what are you doing? Why are you playing Clash Royale? Oh no. I paid my taxes. Thank you so much to my accountant, even though I didn't want to pay. I see he's trying to go upon the road of Akira Toriyama, but he's not rich enough to be able to say, I want to dodge my taxes. I mean, I'm assuming this is a joke, but I could also see Akutami going to his accountant and saying, "How can I dodge taxes?" and his accountant saying, "Pay your taxes." Oh man, actually, it should be safe now to look at the page for Kaiju number 8. I don't actually know who the mangaka for it is. I was hoping you would actually just say it there. Who is it? Naoya Matsumoto. No, and no, I do not recognize either of these. Huh. I mean, I guess we'll see if Like, if either of these have English translations, let me know. I'm kind of curious. I probably won't do them on the channel unless they're very highly recommended. But I'm curious to see, like, what else this person did. I'm glad that Taishi Susui is actually getting good internet now. I should probably, I mean, the router we have is not, like, it's not an old router, but it is a, like, ISP supplied router. So I'm not sure how we would, like, uh, I do want to fix it, or I do want to replace it with just a much better router. And I think that might also help with Donut's computer. Like, Donut, basically, he uses IP over, oh, what is that called again? Basically, his internet is passed through the power lines, which does give him a more like reliable connection. But it also like it seems to be a lot slower than my connection, which is just straight up Wi-Fi. Okay, Pochikuro is completely scanlated. All right, I will give it a look. Not right now, but you know, later. Oh, thank you, homie. Ah, most of these were not super duper interesting, but it's fine. That's what you do. That's what you get when you read author comments. Anyways, that was Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of August 2nd, 2020. Where is the time going? I mean, I feel like it's a very common thing to say, oh man, I can't believe the year's, already like 3/4 over. But I mean, with this year especially, this year really, despite being very atypical, at the same time, it had a combination of kind of feeling, I don't know why I'm saying had as if it's over. But yeah, it's been a weird combination of this year is never ending, and also this year is flying by because I'm, not doing stuff. Thank you all so much for watching. Get hype for, next week. I'm probably not going to do a live stream because we're back to normal work, but we'll see. Oh, also, um, oh, what was I about to say? More Dorohedoro definitely coming out because I've already recorded it. Gonna do a Dead Tube. I don't know if any of you read Dead Tube, but it is the most popular series on the channel, so probably statistically. Gonna do some stuff. It's gonna be a good time. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye for now. Nya nya.